Alright, I just got out of the theater and I just saw Ballerina, which is a John Wick spin-off movie starring Ana de Armas. Let's go ahead and talk positives and then negatives, and then I will give you guys my rating out of 10. Now, this movie is getting some pretty good reviews so far. It's got a 74% critic score, 93% audience score. It's got like a 7.4 on IMDb. And I would say that fans unanimously are saying that this is a good movie, but not like amazing. The movie is directed by Len Wiseman, and it stands at 2 hours and 5 minutes long, and it is set between John Wick 3 and 4. So this is like a mini-story spin-off that's happening between those two giant films starring Keanu Reeves. And I gotta say, this was a really, really good time. Like, I'm a huge Ana de Armas fan for obvious reasons. She is like my number one celebrity crush. I absolutely love this woman. And just watching her kick ass and shoot people and run around, like, it was just a joy to watch on the big screen. And I got the D-box seat, so watching an action film like this with the seats that move and basically to the movements that you're seeing on the screen, it was just an enhanced experience overall. I thought Ana de Armas was really, really good as Eve Macaro, a brand new character in the John Wick universe. She is a broken woman. There is a tragedy that happens right at the beginning of the film that really, puts you into her world right away. And then it sets up the classic revenge story that we all know and love with the John Wick franchise. So without really spoiling it, essentially the story is something tragic happens at the beginning of the movie, and then she is a little girl, she gets taken in by the Ruscaroma, and she becomes a ballerina assassin and is trying to seek revenge. That's basically all I can say about the story. And it was just a joy to watch a different corner of the John Wick universe play out on the big screen. Like, we've had the whole John Wick story in 4 different movies, so it is nice to spend some time with a different type of character. And that's something I really, really liked about this movie, is expanding the whole John Wick universe and not just following John Wick or the Continental. Like, now we're going with different assassins, which I think is really interesting. Then I would say her story was actually pretty good. I do think the execution could have been a little bit better, and I think they could have really leaned into the family aspect of this story a little bit more. I thought they were going to, but then they kept it a little bit vague, and I wish they, gave more details out and just really honed in on the whole family aspect of her revenge story. But the story overall was good. I was invested. I wanted her to get her revenge. And then how John Wick plays into it, I thought was pretty smart. And obviously, having Keanu Reeves in this movie as John Wick was another major positive, and it was just really cool to see him and Eve fight each other. And Keanu Reeves obviously crushes it as John Wick again, and the action scenes that he got were really, really solid. My next positive is going to be the action in this movie. I think everyone is anticipating a great action film with the John Wick universe. It's just something we come to expect now. And a large part of that anticipation comes from the work that Chad Stahelski does with this franchise. He actually came in for some reshoots and really amped up the action in this film. He said it was about a couple of weeks on set. And I think you can actually tell which action scenes he added to this film, because some of them are really elevated and the other ones are good, but just not on that top tier level. But overall, the action in this film was fantastic. There was some really great scenes. There was some really cool locations. Like, there was a club in this movie called, I think, 11 Below. So it was like a club that had ice, and it was really cold, and you could see the breath coming off people's mouth. Really cool action scene there. There's another really awesome scene that's involving a car. There was just a ton of them, really. Like, there's too many to just list off right now. But yes, if you're a John Wick fan, you are going to have a lot of fun with the action in Ballerina. And another positive I have is that they didn't make her invincible, because I know a lot of you probably know in movies like this, they tend to make the female hero or protagonist basically invincible. Like, she'll go up against 250-pound dudes and just punch them in the face and, like, knock them out, which isn't really super realistic. So I appreciated that they made Eve actually pretty vulnerable. She's going up against all of these mercenaries, and they're like throwing her, punching her, kicking her across the room. And, that's different because John Wick doesn't really get like physically outbeaten the way that Eve does in this movie. So she has to rely on her actual skills as an assassin and, think outside the box and doesn't just go crazy physically and just fight these dudes hand to hand most of the time. And another thing I really liked about this film, too, is that Eve is not like the ultimate assassin like John Wick. She is really good, but she starts off, she's struggling, and she's like building up her skills as the movie goes on. And I appreciate that they didn't just make her like invincible, like I was just saying. When she goes up against John Wick, she struggles quite a bit. It's not like they were just neck and neck and, you know, Mexican standoff. Like, no, John Wick is the superior assassin for sure. Another positive I have is all of the different locations and the cinematography I thought was really well done as well. Just really makes the film feel bigger when we're going to all of these really great locations, and it just expands the universe and this film in particular. Oh, and something I just totally forgot. So back to my action positive. There is a scene involving a flamethrower battle. That was awesome. Then I would say the supporting cast was pretty good. Yes, we could have fleshed them out a little bit more, and like I said, we could have dived into the whole family aspect a little bit more, but overall, I liked all of the supporting cast, and I liked returning cast as well, because that really feels like we're connecting the universe in a way, which is exactly what the goal of this movie was. So we had, characters like Winston and Sharon pop up, and I thought that was great because it really makes this feel like it's part of the John Wick universe. It's not like its own little thing in a pocket universe or on the side. Like, no, this is fully integrated into the John Wick story. I thought Norman Reedus was really cool too. I wish we could have used him a little bit more, but yeah, supporting cast was solid. Now on to my negatives. Now, my first one I would say is probably the villains of this movie. I thought they were kind of lackluster, like we didn't really get to know that much about them. They're basically this evil cult, and there's a connection with that cult and Eve, and I think they could have done it a little bit better. It was kind of vague. We don't really know what their motivation is. Like, basically, they're just these outlaws that don't follow the rules of the assassins, and that's why the assassins just kind of avoid them. So yeah, the villain for me was kind of lackluster, wasn't a huge fan of them. Completely forgot what they were called, and there's like a chancellor guy who's leading them all, and I thought he was meh. And that plays into my one critique where I was saying that I wish they dived into the whole family aspect a little bit more. I think that could have made the villains better. But they just kept the connections so vague, and I wish they didn't, because then I would have liked the villain more. I also thought some of the action scenes were subpar, like I was saying. You can kind of tell which ones Chad Stahelski did and which ones he didn't. And then I would say the story was kind of simple, and I think they could have made it a little bit deeper of a story, but they kept everything very vague, like I was saying, so it was hard to get, like, super invested into it, but I did like it. There was some twists and turns, some of them a little predictable, some of them not. But overall, I had a really good time with Ballerina. Like, this is a very good action movie. I definitely recommend it. I'm going to give this movie an 8 out of 10. I think it's a really great addition to the John Wick franchise. If you're a fan of the franchise already, definitely go check out Ballerina starring Ana de Armas. I think you're going to have a great time. And if you do have the option to sit in the D-box seats, the ones that move around to whatever you're seeing on the screen, definitely do that. That really elevated the whole experience for me. I think this movie is a must-see for any John Wick fan or even just action fan in general. And I think we're definitely getting a sequel announcement pretty soon. Maybe by the time I post this video, there's already been a sequel announcement. But I definitely think we're going to be seeing more of Eve Macaro, because her story is really interesting and I can't wait to see where it goes. So guys, that's my review of Ballerina. Let me know in the comments what you thought about the movie, and also what would you give this movie out of 10? Let me know down below.